Hello, dear friends. It's Carly, and welcome back to Owning Authenticity. In today's video, we kick off Sagittarius season. And if Sagittarius means one word, if you had to boil it down into one word, I would say expansion. So this next 4 weeks promises expansion, if nothing else. Okay, so this video does apply if you're a solar Sagittarian, meaning you were born while the sun was in Sagittarius. So your birthday is sometime in these next 4 weeks. This video is definitely for you. And hopefully you haven't tuned out yet. And it's for everyone. It's for everyone because my favorite astrological truth to repeat as often as I can is that we are all 12 of the zodiac energies. So even if your sun is in a different sign, it's not in Sagittarius, that could and does still mean that you do have Sagittarius energy somewhere in your chart. Now, this video, we are going to focus on the Sagittarius archetype, kind of the cookbook, textbook version of what Sagittarius energy, what that is in terms of our multifaceted humanness. Our personality has all of these little sub-personalities. Each of the 12 zodiac signs is kind of a sub-personality within all of us. And Sagittarius has its own sets of characteristics. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. And it does apply to everyone. So everyone's Sag energy is going to look just a little bit different depending on which house it falls in your natal chart. And if you have any planets in Sagittarius, that will definitely color the vibe of your personal Sagittarius energy. Okay, so we already said the 12 zodiac signs are like sub-personalities. So the Sagittarius sub-personality is responsible for connecting the dots between the life we live and how we understand the life that we live. So on some level, we're all dot connectors. Some people may have this as a more prominent part of their life, but on some level, we're all dot connectors. So this season, what is it for? I think it really does boil down into one question that Sagittarius kind of haunts us with in a really loving way is, what is the meaning of your life? You know, just that little bitty question, all in one compact little statement. What is the meaning of your life? And if you're human and anything like a normal human, to answer that question, especially while you're in the middle of your life, is very difficult, but not impossible. And so much of the meaning of our life and how we tap into our own personal sense of like our life is worth living, that's where our Sagittarius energy, it's either working for us or against us. And that's what we're going to get into as we unpack this Sagittarius archetype. So a lot of people use religion to fill in that gap of what is the meaning of my life. And that's not wrong, but some people do use religion to try to sidestep the contemplation that question, what is the meaning of my life, is really asking for, and just kind of like copy and paste and just cut this out and paste it on top of here to say, this religion, that's the meaning of my life. This religion is my belief structure. And it doesn't work that way. We can't just follow somebody else's recipe and say that what they're doing, that's the meaning of my life. No, that's taking a shortcut. And chances are when we take shortcuts and we try to live according to other people's philosophies, when we manifest what it is that we're after and expecting to find fulfillment and happiness within those manifestations, they're usually just empty. When you manifest your goal and it's empty feeling, as in it doesn't feel like happiness and riches and harps playing and parades and marching bands, and it's just empty. It's just like, this is it. This is all this is. I thought it would be funner. I thought this would be nicer to manifest. Chances are that manifestation came about as you reaching towards somebody else's life philosophy. And when you're walking your own talk, two things. One, you've taken the time to contemplate and figure out what your talk really is. So, what your life philosophy really is. And then you've also walked your talk, meaning you've lined your personal life experience, your day to day life experience is lined up with your personal philosophy on life and the meaning of the world and all things. Basically, when we're talking about a life philosophy, we're wanting to know, what does the true north on your compass look like? How do you guide yourself? How do you know that you're following the right North Star when each and every single individual on this planet has their own personal North Star? Another piece I want to add in here is, it's easy to get down on religion. I personally am not a religious person, but in this sense of the idea, religion is just a set of beliefs. And in that sense of the definition, we're all religious. Maybe your religion is money or materialism or cynicism, believing that there is no meaning in life. That's the religion that you're subscribing to, is the meaning of your own life. You're settling in the place of subscribing to cynicism and letting there be no meaning in your world. And I can only imagine, slash, I have lived just a little bit of this back in my atheist days, when you do finally figure out the talk, you're now talking your talk, and now you're starting to line up, you're walking with it, you're walking your talk. It's just really hollow. It's so empty. And when you're manifesting empty things, you're on the wrong track. So this sun moving through Sagittarius season is a lot about that. It's a lot about the sun, the brightest star in our solar system, lighting up your philosophy towards life and lighting up the life that you're living and doesn't match with your own life's philosophy. Along with optimism, the Sagittarius archetype is also where our faith comes from. Sagittarians are classically known as the seeker energy, and that is because they have the curiosity and the mental capacity to question everything. And everything, what is the meaning of my life? That's a very Sagittarian question. And they trust and believe and know and have that faith that just says, if I just keep walking over the crest of this next hill are all the answers that I seek. So that's where that fuel to continue seeking comes from, is that they have these questions that feel so important to answer, and they believe that the answers are out there. So really, in its highest form, Sagittarius energy is all about the courage to continue to ask the next set of questions and then go in search of the answers, and then ask the next set of questions and then go in search of the answers, and then ask the next set of questions and then go in search of the answers. And this is why it is expansion. Sagittarius wants us to expand, wants us to fall face first into the buffet of human experiences that are available to us. So whether that's expansion through travel, literally physically going someplace that you have never been before, especially if that place is of a different culture. Culture shock is basically evolutionary rocket fuel for Sagittarians. So those where we physically move around and expand our horizons, but also we can just stay in one place and expand our mental horizons. So this is why Sagittarius also rules higher education. Think about when you go through primary school and up until you're 18, end of your teens, so much of that it's the exact same for everybody. For one thing, it's so basic. It's such a basic foundation of knowledge. And then when you go to college or even graduate school, postgraduate school, all of those types of studies, you're getting so much more specific and narrowing down on what knowledge reflects who you are and the meaning of your life. So while learning and memorizing the Gettysburg Address in fifth grade or whenever you do that, like that probably doesn't have a whole lot to do with the meaning of your life. And so that's why when we're talking Sagittarius, we're not just talking learning, we're talking higher education, because in those realms of higher education, you're generally lining yourself up with your life's purpose overall. So one big clue for tapping into your Sagittarius energy is look at what you like to learn about. And it might be easy to say, I don't like to learn on anything. Well, you're crazy. No, I'm just joking. But for real, you probably have something. And even if what you like to learn about are celebrities, celebrity gossip, that's what you like to learn about. Or if you're like me, you like to learn about astrology and human design and personality and human behavior because humans are weird. Um, it just all really depends. You know, maybe you like to learn about mechanical things and maybe you like to tinker with electronics, or it can be anything where we are learning something new and expanding our mental horizons. So this little story illustrates the shift that we are likely to see during Sagittarius season. So imagine making your favorite beans, whatever, doesn't have to be beans, it could be whatever dish you like. But when you make it, so for me, it's chili. Okay, so I love chili. I love to make chili. I make it several times every cold season. And when I make it, I somehow always feel like I'm feeding an army and I wind up with like 2 weeks worth of chili. And by the third or fourth time, I'm like, ugh, chili again? Like I'm ready for something different. Do I really have to eat the rest of this? I want different food. I want different experiences. That's Sagittarius. In the signs leading up, in this whole like, you know, the whole year that it takes the sun to move through all 12 zodiac signs, it's a cycle. It's an evolutionary process as the sun moves from one sign to the next sign to the next sign. And when the sun gets to Sagittarius, it's when we realize how sick we are of what we've been enduring and how the normal, natural stuff is just boring and you're ready to move on. You're ready for the next thing. So that basically boils down to Sagittarius in its highest frequency is about eternally stretching and expanding, constantly asking ourselves questions, asking life questions, and then seeking the answers. And when we learn the answers, integrating those into our daily life. And as that takes us then to a whole new terrain of life that we're living, there are new questions and new answers to seek and integrate into our life, which takes us to a new place. So this next 4 weeks of the sun moving through Sagittarius, chances are your own personal philosophy towards life will be illuminated. And for better or for worse, you will get to see more clearly how well your life philosophy and your life actually match up. And the best illustration I can give you, and this is my own personal, very fond memory, is in December of 2016, so 5 years ago, here in just a couple weeks, while the sun was making its trip through Sagittarius, I decided that it was time to quit my six-figure corporate software job. I saw a life of entrepreneurship for myself, more specifically creative freedom for myself. And I had known I'd worked at the software company for 5.5 years, and I had known for about 5 years there was no creative freedom on this path. It was a really nice paycheck, but no creative freedom. And there was something about that whole year of 2016 was very transformative, definitely leading up to this ultimate culmination of quitting my job. And it wasn't malicious, it wasn't emotional, it wasn't a rash decision. I didn't like go in there screaming and guns blazing and I quit and on and on. It wasn't like that at all. It was so clear. It was so clear how bored I was at not living a life that allowed me to do what I thought the point of life was. The point of life, the point of my life, as far as what I had come to, was creative freedom. And here I was engaging in a world, in a life that did not offer creative freedom. And after a couple weeks of the sun moving through Sagittarius, it could not have been more clear that this is not the place for me. And I didn't have anything lined up. I didn't have like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. This is the business I'm going to open. I knew none of that. I just knew this isn't the place. And if I want to manifest a life that is more in alignment with my life philosophy, I will have to clear the space for that life to manifest. Right now, I am clinging to this life that I've built for myself that isn't a good fit, but at least it's a paycheck. And I had to set that down and then was unemployed for 5 months. And it was wonderful. And I traveled and I rested. I took so many naps. I journaled. I did my self-care. I went for runs with my dog. It was such a magical time. And eventually, my grocery store came into play, where I then spent 10 months building that grocery store, and it opened. We're having our 4-year anniversary here in just a couple of months. So the fact that I jumped off a cliff, took a leap of faith that says, yes, this is a 6-figure job, but it's not in alignment with my life philosophy. My life philosophy looks more like this. And so instead of settling and selling out, is what I would call it, for the paycheck, I'm going to set that down and open myself up to living a life that's in alignment with my values and my personal philosophy on the meaning of my life. So I also want to point out the shadow frequency of Sagittarius. So every single one of the 12 zodiac signs has its light frequency, its highest expression, and its low frequency, or its shadow version. And when we're talking about Sagittarius, the highest expression is expansion, and the lowest expression is dogmatism, or I had to look that up, or rigid beliefs, basically, is that you found a set of beliefs and you're sticking with them day after day, year after year. As you live life and you learn more about life, you're not updating your belief system. And that doesn't make any sense, because as we go through life, we learn more about who we are. And as we learn more about who we are, we have a clearer idea of what our life philosophy should be. And if you're not updating your life philosophy, then you're stuck. You're stuck in what you think you know. And if you're closed off to that expansion, finding a sense of soul level fulfillment is going to be very difficult. Like we talked about at the beginning with those empty feeling manifestations. When you manifest things like you open a new business, or you buy this, or you go there, or whatever it is, and you do it, and the satisfaction lasts for 20 minutes. And now you're back to feeling like that didn't last long. That's probably because the whole manifestation, the whole reason you thought you wanted that manifestation, was because it was on somebody else's recipe. Somebody else's life philosophy called for that manifestation. And you thought that, well, I'll just do what they're doing and it'll probably work out okay. It won't. We have to find our way onto our own life path. That's what Sagittarius is all about. Okay, so this next little bit is very fun. It's the idea that that Sag expansion sub-personality within all of us has 3 different mechanisms included that help you to do that, where you find your life philosophy and line your life up with it. So there are 3 different pieces, 3 different facets to Sagittarius energy. And these aren't in a progression where this is the least evolved and then here's more evolved, and then when you're the most evolved, you're up here. It's more like a triangle, where as you go through expanding your horizons and finding your own life philosophy, you will need all 3 of these pieces. And they are the voyager, the scholar, and the philosopher. And as you voyage out into the world and you see different cultures and different parts of the world, you have questions and thoughts and reactions and observations and all of these things. And that's the scholar's evolutionary rocket fuel, is that brand new experience that yields all of these new thoughts. So then the scholar plays around in the intellect with all of this new experience. And out of that new experience, we pull the pieces that mean the most to us and integrate them into our wider belief set. And that's where the philosopher comes in, is, philosopher has your philosophy on life, but it's also in the highest form of Sagittarius energy. It's also being constantly updated by the voyages that you take and the scholar's new conclusions based on the new experiences that your voyager has had. The philosopher's job is to constantly be opening your perspective wider and wider and wider to account for all of these new insights and conclusions that you find along your path. Basically, it's the experience of the spirit actively seeking and pursuing itself by living all of these different life experiences, which basically serve as mirrors so that the spirit can manifest out into the world. So the goal of Sagittarius is that we align with our own personal life's philosophy instead of simply adopting a set of beliefs that might have been taught to us or that we absorbed growing up. And during Sagittarius season, it's extra special because with the sun moving through Sagittarius, we will have these structures, these belief systems illuminated, where it's now easier to see what they are and how well they match with the daily life that we're living. And if we're manifesting empty things during this Sagittarius season, they will feel emptier. It will be exaggerated so that you, as the person making these decisions, can see that this situation is not bringing you true fulfillment, true joy. And if you're expanding in the way that your soul meant to when you came forward into this life that you're living right now, it will be satisfying. It will be fulfilling. That kind of soul level expansion that is on your soul's path, it will overflow your joy with more joy than you ever thought possible to be living out your life's philosophy. So this is the time for working with our faith and our hope. Hope is demonized almost. Like, people out there say, like, don't get your hopes up, like you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. And Sagittarius season is a time where it actually pays off to get your hopes up and have faith that you can manifest what you want. So just a little bit of foreshadowing, Sagittarius season is followed by Capricorn season. And in this next 4 weeks with Sag, we are working with our faith and intentionally daring to get our hopes up. And then when the sun moves through Capricorn, we are enlivened and energized with new energy to build our soul's great work in the world. That's what Capricorn is all about. That's all Capricorn cares about. Capricorn would die starving on the mountain trying to get to the top because all it cares about is achieving its great work. So the higher we hope and the more we dare to dream as big as you possibly can in Sagittarius season, the bigger the better. That is that much more fuel that you take into Capricorn season when we are working in the earth realm of building what our soul came forward to build. Our soul had a reason for incarnating, lots of reasons actually. Every single planet in the natal chart is a different reason that your soul wanted to incarnate. But everybody has that Capricorn energy in their chart somewhere, and everybody has a great work that they came to leave behind in the physical realm. And every year during Capricorn season, we get to really focus into, are we building that great work or not? Are we, distracted on other paths that aren't leading to that great work? And this Sagittarius season that comes just before, it's by design. It's so perfect in the way that it lights up our life philosophy, our personal truth, how we see the world, how we understand the meaning of our life in the grander scheme of things. And then as we enter into Capricorn season, we get to really put the rubber on the road and make progress building our soul's great work into this world. So just a few ideas for practically engaging with this Sagittarius energy. The first is a journal prompt. So put it on the screen here. What are the things I want most at this point in my life, and why do I want them? What things will maximize my joy? All very Sagittarian. The second idea is to learn or study something new or from a new perspective. Deepening your knowledge in whatever subject is fascinating to you personally will definitely engage your Sagittarius knowledge. And it is especially Sagittarian if it is in a non-linear, self-taught form of education. So let's say you're super fascinated by Sagittarius energy and you want to learn all about it, and you start one YouTube video and get 3 minutes in before they mention Jupiter, and now you're off on a Jupiter tangent, learning everything that you can about Jupiter. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. That's Sagittarius. It's like, it doesn't have to be some methodical, linear, once you complete the first grade, then you can move on to second grade, and then you can move on to third grade. It's like, no, you can take a week of 10th grade, and then a week of 5th grade, and then a week of 12th grade, and then jump over here, on a vacation for a minute. Sagittarius is bouncing with what feels right to them in any given time, and to find their truth amidst all of it, and to navigate themselves according to their own personal North Star. And then last but not least, anytime we're talking about Sag, we have to include physically taking your body somewhere that it has never been before is very good for your Sagittarius energy in general, that exploration side of your personality that wants to experience new things, that wants to connect new dots, that's bored of chili for the 4th day in a row and just wants something different. Giving yourself something different, like physically different, is very good for engaging your Sag energy. To support your expansion during the Sagittarius season, I am going to be releasing Sagittarius themed videos here over these next 4 weeks, with the goal always being to help you move with love and acceptance for yourself. As you have all of this illuminated in your life, a lot of times it means letting go and leaving behind things that are no longer aligned or no longer working for you, so that you can make an empty space in your world for what will be better aligned with who you truly are. The first of these videos is the 4 enemies of the man of knowledge. So Sag obviously applies to knowledge in all forms, the pursuit of knowledge and the power of knowledge, and how, answers just breed more questions, which breed more answers, and so on and so forth. So I will give you a small preview. The first enemy of knowledge is fear. Fear paralyzes us, and it keeps us stuck without stepping out and taking a risk of upsetting the apple cart, but in the process, finding who we truly are. If we're too afraid to face our own truth, we never get there. Basically, it paralyzes us, and it keeps us from taking the leap of faith that Sag so desperately wants from us. I invite you to sit with your fears this Sagittarius season and see if they are things that are truly threats to your survival and your safety, or if they're just keeping your life needlessly small. Thank you for listening, dear friend. I hope that there was something valuable in here as you enter this Sagittarius season and this time of illuminating your own personal life philosophy. I'll be back with more videos very soon. Until next time, you take good care, and so will I.